And you know, Brian, we just have some breaking news into our newsroom right now. Hunter Biden indicted now on 3 new federal gun-related charges. What do you make of that?
Well, these gun-related charges are really big, Kelly. I think we had talked a couple of weeks ago, 2, 3 weeks ago about this. I mean, the existing gun charge, just so your viewers know, Hunter Biden allegedly lied on an application to get a gun about not having ever used drugs. And then we found out later that he has used drugs. Now, that charge alone in federal court carries a maximum 10-year sentence. I don't know what the additional gun charges are, but Hunter Biden's in a heap of trouble with this. And I have to tell you that his lawyers might be in a heap of trouble as well, because remember a few weeks ago, Kelly, they had a plea deal wrapped up with a big bow on it to try to get rid of these gun charges. And what they tried to do then is add language in there that prosecutors could not then investigate and indict Hunter Biden on additional charges. What happened? The federal judge said, you can't do that. That's unconstitutional. I'm tossing out this plea deal. And now look what happened. The lawyer's client, Hunter Biden, is now facing additional charges.
And as you know, this historic indictment coming on the heels of that plea agreement that fell apart. Also now McCarthy opening up an impeachment inquiry. The timing, Brian, what's your interpretation?
Yeah, I think I think McCarthy is making a mistake at this juncture. I think the focus right now, Kelly, should be on Hunter Biden. And I don't think that politics should enter into this investigation and now try to use all of the allegations against Hunter Biden to try to implicate President Biden, and more important, to try to investigate whether there should be impeachment. I think what should happen here is there should be a process. There shouldn't be a rush to do this because we have an impending election to try to have voters now think, oh, did President Biden do something bad? From what I've seen thus far, there's a lot of evidence to implicate Hunter Biden, but I haven't really seen anything that's going to stick as to President Biden. The only thing we have, Kelly, is that there was evidence that Hunter Biden sent a WhatsApp message to an executive in China, and he said, hey, my dad is sitting right next to me, and unless you do what you've got to do, my dad's right here, right? And then $5 million was sent a few days later. That's not enough to implicate President Biden. That's not enough for an impeachment. And I hope this does not turn into a political circus. What we have to do real quick is do what the DOJ is doing now. They're doing a deeper dive into Hunter Biden. That's great. We want equal justice for all. Now, if they find evidence that President Biden may have been involved, then at that point in time, maybe McCarthy does this. But at this juncture, it looks like a knee-jerk reaction motivated by politics.
Well, I think we can all get behind the DOJ and politics being 2 separate entities there. So in terms of Hunter Biden's attorneys, they have not yet responded. Do you think we will hear from them at some point about these new indictments? And if so, what do you think that statement will look and sound like?
Well, I think what Hunter Biden's lawyers need to do with the gun charges, Kelly, is they need to take a deep breath and redo a potential plea deal. This plea agreement that they submitted weeks ago was DOA, dead on arrival. It was replete with constitutional violations. And I think Hunter Biden's lawyers owe a duty to him to sit back, reach out to prosecutors, and try to focus on a plea deal that just addresses these gun charges. Now we've got 2 more gun charges. They're going to have to try to talk about a plea deal. I think it's going to be harder and harder for Hunter Biden to potentially avoid jail time if there are now 2 additional gun charges. But look, his lawyers have to come out now and say, look, we're going to try to build a bridge with prosecutors. Let's try to work out some kind of plea deal, but focus just on these gun charges. Don't try to eradicate the unknown for what's out there, if anything, against Hunter Biden.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.